Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Precious metals fraud is on the rise. Let's explore. In this story, as shared with me from Silver King from a couple of days ago, this is localnews8.com talks about yet another company that has targeted senior investors in a $68 million fraud scheme. You may have heard me do another story like this relatively recently. Seems like these are on the rise, as we'll learn about in this article here. This particular company is known as Safeguard Metals. Go figure. The irony of some of these names is not lost on many of us. From Boise, Idaho, the Idaho Department of Finance joined the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and 26 other states last Wednesday to file a complaint in United States District Court for the Central District of California against Safeguard Metals, LLC, and Jeffrey Santillon, a.k.a. Jeffrey Hill. They use pseudonyms too, but the complaint alleges defendants operated a fraudulent precious metals investment scheme, attracting more than 450 investors and $68 million nationwide. Think about that. That's a lot of money that people are being duped out of, and a lot of people too. So this was a fairly successful operation, it seems. Idaho investors invested approximately $1.3 million in the scheme, just in Idaho alone. This is one of many large-scale precious metal investment schemes we've endeavored to stop since the pandemic began. Investors are advised to be particularly cautious when purchasing precious metals and to check for outrageously high commissions and markups. That's right, these very high premiums. And they've been as high as 30 to 70%. Idaho Department of Finance Director Patricia R. Perkins. As the market continues to fluctuate, we anticipate more fraudsters using fear and uncertainty to manipulate good people out of their hard-earned money. Now, there's a little bit of irony in that too, because we are seeing legitimate dealers also charging very high premiums. So confusing those is something that you have to be wary about, or you have to be discerning in that case. Like, for instance, Silver Eagles are going to have pretty high premiums, and probably the ratio or the markup is going to probably be, I don't know, 10 to 30, probably close to 30% or what have you. But you just have to weigh and shop around and see what the average price is across multiple dealers. I mean, that's common sense, and more than likely, probably what these people are doing is they are preying on maybe some people who wouldn't know so much, and particularly the elderly, which is unfortunate, but it's an easy target. The complaint alleges the defendants targeted seniors with little experience in investing in precious metals and used these scare tactics, half-truths, and other misrepresentations to entice them to purchase grossly overpriced silver coins with their retirement savings. The defendants are also accused of failing to disclose the markup charge to investors and the risk of losing more of their investment funds. In many cases, the actual market value of the precious metals purchased was substantially lower than the value of the investors' retirement savings liquidated to fund their purchases. And that's just it, folks. A lot of this would seem to be common sense, and you would think even for some elderly, but it's just amazing what people don't know. And it's not limited to the elderly. There's also young folks who maybe don't know. Anybody that's just getting into it and has an interest in it on their own could be hoodwinked by companies like this. The defendants advised investors to liquidate their holdings at registered investment firms to fund investments in precious metals through self-directed individual retirement accounts. Self-directed IRAs should not be confused with traditional IRAs or other retirement vehicles. Self-directed accounts are placed with a custodian. but do not afford the same investor protections as traditional IRAs. Idaho will continue to partner with fellow regulators to vigorously fight to protect consumers from this and other schemes to defraud, Perkins said. Investors are advised to check the registration of all investment products and professionals and ask tough questions about fees, markups, risk, and potential returns. If the answer seems too good to be true or don't make sense, protect your savings by just walking away. I would argue that it's not that easy because they will probably have very slick and canned answers to all of this that will, quote, make sense. But in reality, it's good to research the companies and look at their ratings. But again, some of those ratings can be fixed as well. We've seen that time and time again. In reality, if you've never heard of the company name, more than likely it should be suspicious. It's a bottom line. And when you have these self-directed IRAs, essentially they're encouraging you to put your money into products that are held and stored somewhere else, and they probably don't even exist. And that's really the bottom line. Is probably what has happened to a lot of these folks. In October 2020, the department and partnered with other regulators to pursue action against other precious metal dealers like TMTE Incorporated, also known as Metals.com, Chase Metals, and Barrick Capital. The Metals.com scheme affected 1,600 seniors nationwide and involved $185 million. And wow, that's something else. The Idaho Department of Finance encourages investors to come forward if they suspect they have been targeted by similar precious metal investment schemes. And so Idaho is pursuing this, and that's good that a state like Idaho is being on the forefront of this and working with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, as I'm sure we all have known. But in the end, bottom line is there are a lot of reputable dealers out there that you can use to buy precious metals, and stay. If your family members are interested in precious metals, I hope you will advise them to go to those precious metal companies, and even to be clear about what it means to actually buy precious metals, because you can buy them and store them in other places. And there are organizations, legitimate ones, that do that as well. However, again, there are kind of risks involved with that as well. So you have to think about what is the best path forward for you. Do you want to hold the precious metals? Do you want to buy representations of precious metals? There's all different ways to do it from ETFs, but the best kind is the kind that you hold and that you own. Then you have to think about security for those precious metals if you buy them, especially if you're new and are older and as a senior. A lot of different things happening here, but that is the bottom line. And it's a shame that we're seeing this stuff on the rise and how they are targeting, and again, using fear as a main motivator. And that is the situation, the fear of missing out. And that bleeds over into legitimate precious metals purchasing too. Sometimes we can essentially be hoodwinked ourselves into buying out of fear. And I'm talking about the kind of fear that makes you think that we're headed for some unmitigated disaster. And by the way, there's a lot of things happening in the news and in the economy that has a lot of us very nervous. But at the same time, we have to be balanced in our approach and our view, because things could turn around for one reason or another. Even if it's a situation where the economy turns around because of using tactics and methods that the big banks, the politicians, and the like want to give you this false sense of comfort for the economy. In any way, shape, or form, that very well could lead to gold and silver not rising like some people say it will. And we have to be prepared for that. Nonetheless, it's a lesson to all of us, whether we're dealing with a legitimate dealer or precious metals firms or a scam such as this. And the bottom line is the precious metals we buy, we have to be smart in how we buy it and who we buy it from. So there you have it. Very interesting. Thanks again to Silver King for sharing this with me. Very interesting and fascinating story. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.